those days, time felt generous. We believed there would always be more of it. More conversations, more evenings, more chances to say what mattered. We assumed moments would repeat themselves, that people would remain, that life would continue in the same familiar rhythm. So we didn't hold on tightly. We didn't protect what felt safe. We postponed appreciation, delayed gratitude, because deep inside us, there was a quiet belief that tomorrow would look just like today. We didn't know that time rarely makes promises. It simply moves forward. We wanted more than what we had, not because we were unhappy, but because we thought happiness was supposed to be bigger, more exciting, more impressive, more noticeable. We believed it would arrive later, after achieving something, after becoming someone. So we kept walking forward, without looking at what we were leaving behind. Happiness wasn't missing. It just didn't shout loudly enough to get our attention. It lived in quiet moments, and quiet moments are easy to ignore. When you are busy chasing something louder, happiness lived in small, unremarkable things, in voices we heard every day, in meals shared without ceremony, in evenings that asked for nothing from us. It lived in routine, in familiarity, in knowing where we belonged. But because these moments were simple, we underestimated them. We thought they would always be there, that they didn't need to be noticed or protected. Only later did we understand this truth. Simplicity is not common. It is fragile. And once it is gone, no amount of success can replace it. We complained when days felt slow, when routines repeated themselves, when life didn't feel exciting enough. We wanted change. We wanted movement. We wanted something different. If only we knew what those slow days truly meant. They meant safety. They meant stability. They meant nothing had broken yet. One day we would miss boredom. We would miss repetition. We would miss days with no surprises. Because slow days were not empty. They were peaceful. And peace is often only understood after it disappears. Now those moments return to us quietly, not as full memories, but as feelings. A familiar smell, a song we hadn't heard in years, a place we pass without stopping. And suddenly we are reminded of a time when life felt lighter. We don't miss every detail of the past. We miss how we felt inside it. Secure, hopeful, unaware of how quickly things could change. Memories don't hurt because they are sad. They hurt because they reveal a version of us that lived without fear of losing what mattered. Life did not change overnight. There was no single moment that marked the shift. It happened slowly, quietly. Responsibilities grew. Expectations followed. Time felt tighter. People didn't leave suddenly. They drifted. Conversations became shorter. Silences became longer. And without realizing it, we adapted to a heavier way of living. Not worse, just more complicated. We learned to be careful, to guard our feelings, to move forward without asking what we were leaving behind. Sometimes we ask ourselves a difficult question. Was life truly better back then? Or were we simply younger, less tired, less cautious, less aware of consequences? Maybe happiness wasn't greater. Maybe we just didn't analyze it so much. We didn't label our emotions. We didn't question every feeling. We didn't ask if life was meaningful enough. We simply lived. And maybe that simplicity, not knowing, not questioning, not overthinking, is what made life feel full. The truth is, we didn't lose happiness. We lost awareness of it. We became skilled at chasing the next thing. the next goal, the next version of ourselves. We believed happiness needed proof, that it had to be earned, that it would arrive later. So we overlooked the quiet joy of being present, of breathing without pressure, of having enough. This realization doesn't come with anger. It comes with understanding, because recognizing this truth isn't meant to punish us. It's meant to wake us up. Now, while there is still time, today happiness feels different, quieter, more fragile. It no longer lives in big moments. It appears briefly, softly, in a calm evening, in a shared silence, in a moment of acceptance. We don't feel it all the time anymore. But when it comes, we recognize it. We hold it carefully, because we know how easily it disappears. Life may be heavier now, but awareness has made us gentler. And perhaps that is its own kind of happiness, one that arrives later in life, after we finally understand what truly matters. As life moved forward, we learned how to keep going, even when parts of us wanted to stop. We learned how to function without asking questions, how to smile when needed, how to stay busy enough to avoid feeling too much. We became good at surviving, productive, responsible, reliable. But somewhere in that process, we stopped listening to ourselves. We stopped asking simple questions, like whether we were still happy or whether the life we were building felt like our own. Growth required strength, but it also required silence, and silence slowly became our default state. Leaving became a normal part of life. Leaving places, leaving people, leaving versions of ourselves behind. At first, we told ourselves it was temporary, that we would return, that distance would not change much. But distance always changes things. Familiar faces became memories. Daily conversations turned into occasional updates. And eventually, silence replaced both. We adjusted. We always do. But adjustment doesn't mean absence of loss. It simply means we learned how to carry it without letting it slow us down. Success arrived in ways we once hoped for. Stability, recognition, a sense of achievement. On the outside, things looked complete, like a life that made sense. But inside, there were quiet gaps, moments when success felt strangely empty. Not because it wasn't earned, but because it couldn't replace what we had lost along the way. We realized then that success and fulfillment are not the same thing. One fills your schedule, the other fills your heart. And many of us learn this truth only after achieving everything we once believed would make us happy. Loneliness does not always come from being alone. Sometimes it appears in the middle of busy lives, surrounded by people, yet feeling unseen. We learned how to carry memories quietly, because not everyone understands them, and not everyone needs to. Some experiences are too personal to explain, too deep to translate into casual conversation. So we keep them to ourselves, not out of secrecy, but out of respect. They remind us of who we were before life taught us how to be careful, how to hide vulnerability, and how to keep moving. Memories return without permission, often when we least expect them, through rain against a window, through a familiar melody, through a sudden pause in the day. They don't ask us to relive the past. They simply sit beside us, quiet and patient, reminding us of moments that shaped us, of people who mattered, of feelings that once felt permanent. We realize then that memories do not fade. They wait, and when they return, they don't demand attention. They only ask us to remember that we have lived, and that what we felt was real. With time, we begin to understand certain truths. Not suddenly, not dramatically, they arrive slowly. After life has tested us enough times, we learn that not everything is meant to stay. Not every person is meant to remain. Not every chapter is meant to be permanent. And this realization does not feel cruel anymore. It feels honest, because holding on to everything was never the purpose of living. Some moments were meant to pass through us, to teach us something, to shape us quietly. Acceptance does not erase pain, but it softens it. And in that softness, we begin to find peace. As we grow older, our pace changes. We stop rushing, not because we have nowhere to go, but because we finally understand that not everything needs to be chased. We speak less, but we listen more. We choose carefully where to spend our energy, our time, our attention. The world has not become quieter. We have, and in that quietness, we notice things we once ignored. Happiness now arrives gently, without announcement, without noise. It doesn't stay long. But when it appears, we recognize it. And that recognition makes all the difference. We no longer measure life by milestones alone. We measure it by how it feels, by moments of calm, by honest conversations, by nights that allow us to rest without regret. We understand now that rest is not weakness. Slowing down is not failure. It is awareness. Life feels smaller than it once did, but not emptier. Smaller in the sense that we no longer need everything. We only need what matters. And that understanding brings a quiet strength, one that does not demand attention, but holds us steady when everything else feels uncertain. Somewhere inside us, those earlier days still exist, unchanged, untouched. They appear in dreams, in quiet thoughts, in moments when the world pauses long enough for us to notice ourselves. They remind us that we once lived without fear of losing everything, that we loved without calculation, that we trusted life more than we questioned it. These memories are not meant to pull us backward. They are meant to ground us. They remind us that we are more than the roles we play today. We are the sum of everything we have felt. We were happy, and we didn't know it. But remembering that truth is not meant to fill us with regret. It is meant to give us clarity, because happiness is not something we lost forever. It simply changed its shape. Today it asks for awareness, for presence, for gentleness with ourselves. Life may never feel as simple as it once did, but it can still feel meaningful. And if we pay attention, if we slow down enough to notice, happiness is still here, quietly waiting to be recognized once again.